Do you trust Cincinnati to get this right?
Obviously, considering their history, it's like, no. Just thinking about the history of Cincinnati and what they've not done in past times, I would say, no, I don't. The fact that this is even being discussed and it's kind of on the board and they're discussing it, I feel like they are looking at it as we have a unique set of guys that are offensively together that we would love to keep together. And obviously Hendrickson, what he's been able to do on the defensive side, it's getting pressure on the quarterback. They're looking at it as potentially the AFC is up for grabs. And if we start to try to tweak what we have, no Higgins, how does this offense look moving forward with just one guy in Chase, and obviously you got one of the better quarterbacks in all the football, Joe Burrow, and defense, and then pour into your defense. I actually think that they want to do it.
That they want to re-up everybody.
And this is why. It's because of the quarterback, Joe Burrow. When he first signed this deal, it was kind of like we had heard all the things about, man, we want to stay together, and then he takes all the money, and it's like, well, how are you going to stay together? But down at the Super Bowl, the other show that I'm on, Breakfast Ball, they were able to interview Joe Burrow and kind of ask him, would you be open to this? And this is what Joe Burrow said. Take a listen.
We have the cap space to get it done.
Right.
And I know, I want to make it happen. Everybody involved, Trey, T, Jamar, Mike G, we all want to stay together. And so when you have guys that are motivated like that, I think, you can get those things done.
So they said, hey, we need you to restructure. It's something you would consider. Not knowing what the numbers are, you'd be willing to at least have that type of conversation to keep the core guys together?
Of course.
Go ahead.
And that's the key. If Joe Burrow wants to get it done, then I feel like you have to give it a shot. If you're the Bengals, if you're looking to do what's right with your team and have a chance to compete at a high level, Pittsburgh obviously had a year that no one thought that they would have, and you didn't have the year that you wanted, but you got to try by starting to keep these guys together.
All right, just let me, before you go, Brew, I just want to explain one kind of just cap thing for the audience. Players almost always are willing to restructure what he's talking about, which is it is not taking a pay cut. It is, if you are due, I'll just use a round number, $35 million in salary this year, that means $35 million is going to hit the salary cap this year. If they turn that $35 million into a signing bonus, instead of getting it every week, you get it all at once, and then they can spread it out over 4 years, 5 years, whatever. So players, like what Joe Burrow is saying there is, yes, of course, I'm willing to take the money you owe me now rather than over the course of the year. It's not taking less money. It is making it more palatable for now and then kind of kicking that bill down the road a bit.
And this is probably where you're going, Nick. I don't think this is necessarily the right way they should be spending their money. You got to pay Jamar Chase, absolutely. I think I would sign Trey Hendrickson, absolutely. I would probably sign T. Higgins to a franchise tag and then trade him to get some defensive players. Now, I know they got a new defensive coordinator. Unless they think, I think it's Al Golden, he's going to pull a Vic Fangio and take one of the worst defenses in the league and make it the best. Unless you think that's happening, I think they need to get more players on defense. And even Philly added, they drafted well. They added Zach Vaughn and all that stuff. So I also think they need a running back. Like if they can get a top of the line or at least close to top of the line running back, I think they'd be better served. You got Jamar Chase. Other guys showed this year they could be a number 2, number 3 type receivers.
I like Yoshivas as a player.
Yeah, I mean,
is cool, but
I love T. I'm just saying Joe Burrow's supposed to be that type of guy that one great receiver should be enough, and then others that are good, solid guys.
Yeah, I really wish they'd asked him not will you restructure your contract, but will you take less money so that we can pay these guys and see if the answer comes out the same. Because, as you look at some quarterbacks through time, they have taken less money because they understood that their success was tied into the success of the entire group, and it's not an infinite amount of money that's available. Like the more dollars you take, the less there is to spend on others. And to be able to keep 3 guys at the price points that they're going to be at, I don't think is realistic, and I don't necessarily feel that it's the best way they should spend their money. I like the idea of keeping Hendrickson because he had 17 sacks last year,
years,
and as a team they had 35. So you're looking at half the production. Now, they weren't very good in terms of pressuring the quarterback, but he was a big reason when they did pressure the quarterback that they were able to. So that should be a priority. And then when you're looking at the two receivers, you go with Chase, and you may have to develop some other guys, or Joe Burrow's going to have to play better. And they've got a lot of holes to fill, and one of them is running the ball, so they let Mixon go. They're 25th in rushing, or 30th in rushing. Defensively, they're 25th in points allowed. They made the change at defensive coordinator. We'll see where that goes. But I'd say the other thing that has to happen is it has to happen early in the offseason. They've got to do whatever they're going to do and not let this linger, because what's the problem they always have? Slow starts. Slow starts. So let's get whatever they're going to do, let's have a plan, let's move forward, let's get it done, know what resources you have left, and then start the season with some certainty instead of going to camp where Jamar's sitting out and, all the stuff we've seen in the past.
All right, so a few things. One, let me say something in fairness to Joe. I think it's incredibly rare for guys to not take as much money as they can the first time they get paid. We've I'm not talking about you, just as a collective, we've recreated the history on Tom Brady, and that Tom Brady, when he got his first contract, was not yet considered a superstar player, even though he was a champion. And then the first contract he got once he was a star, he was briefly the highest paid guy in the league. It was then after that he got so many contracts that he was not, taking top of the market. People point out.
Did Mahomes do it?
Well, Mahomes is such a weird contract because Mahomes, everyone else was signing 4 or 5 year deals. Mahomes signed a 10-year deal that is structured in the way it's not called fully guaranteed, but it is. The guarantees kick in 2 years early on a rolling basis. So he took 10 years of security over the peak of the market and still got $45 million a year.
But that's underpaid. 45 for him, that's way underpaid.
Like, I give Patrick a lot of credit because the way that he did structure his contract, he easily could have pretty much every single season say, I want to be the highest paid. Yep. But he realizes that there's a bigger picture for him. Now, he's in a different spot legacy-wise.
Right. To me, I just think, and I just try to be fair, Burrow is chasing different things than Mahomes. Mahomes was like, at that point when he signed that deal, was already a champion and was already in league MVP and was like, okay, I'm trying to be the greatest player of all time and be here forever. Joe Burrow, I feel like, is a guy who's like, man, I'm with a franchise that is shaky on spending money. I've already had my knee blown out. I'm going to sign top of the market, so I don't begrudge him that. I do not trust the Bengals at all to get this right. Not at all. Getting it right would have been signing Jamar a year ago. Like that to me was an obvious point they should have done. Oddly, if you didn't have the very special Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase relationship dating back to college, the smartest thing from franchise building is probably re-sign Chase and get a couple first-round picks for Jamar. Like, that's probably because...
You mean for Higgins? For T?
I said it wrong. No. Re-sign T and Trey. If they didn't have that special relationship because he is the younger, better player who is yet to, even hit franchise tag territory. I think if they tag and trade T. Higgins, I think they'll get 1 second-round pick. If they were to trade Jamar, I think they'd get 2 number ones.
Wow, you would trade Jamar?
I wouldn't because they have this special relationship, the quarterback and the wide receiver. What I'm saying is, from a franchise-building perspective, I think that would be smarter. I think the most insane thing they could do is sign them both. You just saw a year where Joe Burrow had the best year of his career, Jamar Chase had the best year of his career. Everyone you're talking about signing had career years, and you missed playoffs because defensively you're so bad. You're not going to all of a sudden have a ton of extra resources. The only way to get it is to trade one of these players. I said they should have traded T. Higgins 2 years ago because you saw this coming down the back when you could have gotten multiple ones or at least one for T. Higgins. But I just don't think Cincinnati, they let Jesse Bates walk. They've missed on a lot of draft picks. They draft well, and the guys they do draft that pan out, they end up letting walk in free agency. It looks like that's eventually going to happen with T. Higgins. Mm-hmm. I just don't think.
And they're not going to have dead money. I mean, I think they have under $500,000 in dead money, which is incredible in the NFL. like they're going to sign guys and they're going to keep them and play them. And
Exactly right. They
they're
sign
vastly
guys, let them
different.
play out their contract, and then that's the it. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get more from the show and to check out clips from other shows on FS1.